Hey everyone, it is Steven, the Drinkologist, and this is Whiskey Unveiled. And today I am talking whiskey cocktails. Now, there are lots of whiskey cocktails, so I'm only going to touch on the most popular ones, the Old Fashioned, the Manhattan, and the Whiskey Sour. So let's jump into those. Starting off with the Old Fashioned, the one to have started it all. The Old Fashioned to me is the basic outline of a cocktail, I guess the old fashioned way, and it's very simple. It's whiskey, sugar, and bitters. And it's so simple that I'm actually going to build this cocktail in the glass. And this is a rocks glass, or a old fashioned glass, actually it's called sometimes. Okay, let's just jump into the recipe. So, very simple. I'm using Angostura aromatic bitters. I'm putting 2 to 3 dashes, or if it is you like it more bitter, add some more. Then for my sugar, I'm using simple syrup. And simple syrup is very simple, 1 part sugar to 1 part water until dissolve. And I am using half of an ounce. If you like your drink sweeter, add some more. There you go, into my glass. Then my whiskey. Now, traditionally, rye whiskey was used to make an old-fashioned, but I like mine's a little sweeter and a little bit more proof, so I'm using 100 proof bourbon for my whiskey, but use whatever whiskey you like. So, I'm going to add 2 ounces of my whiskey to this glass. There you go. And that's it. I'm just going to stir now, just to mix up a little bit of what I put in there with the simple syrup. And I'm going to add some ice. Now I'm using a big block of ice because I don't want my cocktail to dilute too fast. And now I'm just going to chill this down. Stir it about 20 times, and yes, stir, don't shake, because there's no citrus in this cocktail. So stir it about 20 times, just till it gets chilled enough, and it's perfect. Now, we must garnish. No, forgive me. You use an orange peel to garnish an old-fashioned. I forgot my oranges, but I have a lemon. It's going to do the same thing, just get that bright acidity from the citrus in there. So I'm using my lemon peel. And then all the oils are on the back of that peel, so then just take it, spritz it into that cocktail right there, drop it in, and there you have your old-fashioned cocktail. Next, the Manhattan cocktail. And the Manhattan cocktail is a complex whiskey cocktail to me. It is another 3-ingredient cocktail that uses whiskey, bitters, and sweet vermouth, but very simple to make still. So we're going to start off. This is a stirred cocktail, so I'm going to use a mixing glass and just build it in here, pour it into my coupe glass. So I'm starting off again with Angostura aromatic bitters. I'm going to put about 4 dashes. I really want to get my bitter taste in there. And then I'm going to add 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. Not dry, sweet vermouth. We want those sweet notes to kind of round off this cocktail. So I'm putting 1 ounce. Also, make sure your vermouth is fresh. Keep it in the fridge. It goes bad in about 3 months. Then our whiskey. Now I am using rye whiskey this time because I actually want some of those spicy peppery notes to balance out the sweetness from my sweet vermouth. So I am going to use about 2 ounces of my rye whiskey. But again, use whatever whiskey you prefer. 2 ounces whiskey in my mixing glass. Then add some ice. I'm going to serve this cocktail served up, so there's not going to be any ice in there, so I want to make sure this is really chilled. So, just about a little, maybe about 30 times we're going to stir this, or just until it is you can feel your mixing glass is cold, or whatever you're stirring it in. There you go. And now I am serving this in a coupe glass. And to straighten my cocktail in, as I said, it is served up, so there is no ice in the glass. Such a beautiful color. And last but not least, it is garnished by a cherry. Not the bright red cherries you get from the supermarket, but real cherries. I have some Spanish cherries in here. You'll see the dark ones. And I'm going to take that and just a drop of the cherry juice itself, just let it drop into the glass. And there you go. My Manhattan. Now, for the whiskey sour, a classic sour cocktail that's reminiscent of a daiquiri a bit. And it is very simple again. It's just whiskey, lemon, and sugar. But I must warn you, there are two types of whiskey sours. And there is one where I can get a really nice, creamy, foamy head on top of it that makes the cocktail super silky. And we do that by adding egg whites. Yes, don't be afraid. You can add egg whites to your cocktails and it tastes amazing. Or you can forget the egg whites and just have your whiskey, lemon, and sugar. But I am going to do the egg white version for you to see. So let's start. Now, because this is a citrus cocktail, I am going to shake this time. So I have my sugar and I'm going to just juice some lemons. I want to get about 3/4 ounces of lemon juice. So just straight into my jigger. And yeah, I had some in there before, don't worry. So into my shaking tin, 3/4 ounce of lemon juice. If you don't have lemon, use lime. And then 3/4 ounce of my simple syrup. If it is you like your cocktail sweeter, add some more. There you go, right into the shaking tin. And I'm going to add 2 ounces of my whiskey. Now, people really like to use bourbon again, but you can use any kind of whiskey you want. I am using Canadian rye whiskey because I feel like it. So, 2 ounces of my rye whiskey in the glass, into the tin. Then egg whites. Now, I could crack an egg and separate the whites, but I don't think you want to see me do all that, so I'm making a little cheat and doing some pasteurized egg whites in a box. So I just add a little bit of egg whites, maybe about 1/2 to 3/4 ounce. And yes, now I do have to kind of emulsify this a bit. So I'm going to shake this with no ice. It's called a dry shake. So pardon the interruption for a second. Now be careful with that. It is going to explode because there's no ice to lock it in that shaking tin. But it just aggregated that cocktail very heavily. So now we can add our ice and actually chill down this cocktail. I am going to serve my cocktail up in a coupe glass. So again, I want this cocktail to be very cold. So I'm going to shake it again. Please, pardon the interruption. All right. So now we strain into our glass, our coupe glass here. And you're going to see that there's a white foamy head that comes up on top just because of that egg white. It is just beautiful to look at, honestly. And there you go. You're going to see it separate out a bit. And now we have to garnish. So I'm going to just throw a couple dashes of my Angostura aromatic bitters on top of this. And you'll see it adds such a wonderful aroma and texture to it. But there is my whiskey sour. Cheers. And there you go. Whiskey cocktails, the old-fashioned, the Manhattan, and the whiskey sour. And like I said, there are tons of other whiskey cocktails. If there are any others you'd like me to touch on, give the recipes for, do videos, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to. But until then, this is Whiskey Unveiled for Whiskey Cocktails. Cheers.